And so they go to the retreat, and it was very tense at that retreat. But before they even got there, I went to the biggest mosque in Houston, and I invited the leaders of the mosque to come to the retreat. I was like, I'm inviting you to the Christian men's retreat we're having over here. They go, no one's ever invited us to a Christian men's retreat before. I'm like, I know, sorry. You're so far away from us. You're a mile from our church, so we don't invite you. But anyway, we'd love for you to come. We can make it so you can pray and all that, and that's why they don't come, because we don't make a place that they can come to. We make it so they can't come. But anyway, so I said, by the way, I'm bringing 5 radical guys from Palestine. And they're like, you are? They said, we wouldn't even invite those guys to our retreat. Like, we don't have retreats, but we wouldn't invite them. And I said, well, we did. And they said, we want to come to see that. So they came, and the mosque leadership sat right in the front row of the men's retreat. This is the kingdom of God. This is what it's supposed to look like. And they sat in the front row, and the Christian men were like, who are these people? Like, who invited them? And so it was just so beautiful, and then it was all tense. So the Palestinian guys get there, and I told the person, don't put them together. Just put one in that bunkhouse and one over there. Don't let them be together. Just throw them in with the Texans. And so the whole first night, everyone was afraid that someone was going to kill someone else the whole first night. We didn't know who would draw first. It was wild. But it was very tense. There was a lot of fear. 600 men came because of the fact that the Palestinian guys were there. So they came. So I taught the first night, and we did the book of Ephesians, because that's what the Christians wanted to do, which is very high Christology, very difficult to teach for Muslims. It's like Jesus is way up here right away. But we did it. And the Muslim guys in the front row, they were from Pakistan and India, and they started taking notes on what I was saying about Christ and the supremacy and reconciliation and all of that. And so it was pretty calm the first night. But what we were worried about was when they all went back to the bunks, and we just prayed through the night. The next morning, we had no events at the night. The next morning, they come in, and I start to speak. All of them come back. The guys from the mosque all come back. They all come back. It's funny because they all paid to come. It's like they paid. These Muslim guys paid to come to this. Do you know why? Because they care about their families. They want to talk about marriages. Where are they going to go to do this? Right? And so they were there. And so we were working through Ephesians. And if you're speaking in a mosque, I don't know if you've ever spoken in a mosque, but if you're speaking in a mosque and they don't agree with what you say, they just stand up and yell at you. It's not like a church where you just anonymously insult the pastor to death. Like, they're more courageous. They'll just stand up and yell at you. So I knew that if anything was bothering them, they were going to stand up in the middle of the session. I knew. I was waiting for it. And so the morning I start talking, and Hassan, the 13 times in prison, he stands up. And he's got his hand up like this. And I was pretty sure he didn't have to go to the restroom or anything. And so I stop and I go, Hassan, what do you want to say? Because that's his culture. And that's it. When I have spoken in a mosque, this is what you do, or he'll just start yelling. And so I say, he goes, I have something to say. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. And he said, I want to say it to the whole group. And I'm like, okay. And he walks all the way up onto the stage. And he says, last night, Jesus came to our bunkhouse. And all the Christian guys were like, he did? He came to you? He's our guy. He's our team. He's against your team. How did he come to your team? Anyway, and so Hassan says, yeah, Jesus came into my room, into the dorm, and he said to me that he wanted to give me a burden, a weight to carry. And Hassan said, what is it? And Jesus said, I want you to carry back to he led a group. He said, I want you to disband that group. I want you to go back and say, we're not fighting anymore, that we're going to replace this with peace. Wow. It's the first night of the retreat. Wow. The first night of the retreat. And so he said, I want to stand up in front of all of you men, and you hold me accountable to go back and do that. And Jamie's coming with me. And I was like, what? He didn't come to my bunk. He came to your bunk. And so so through the retreat, all 5 of those men came to faith, very visibly in front of everybody else. And they stood up and they would talk about it. And then one of them asked me if he could get baptized on YouTube. And we were like, no, you can't get baptized. But he wanted him, and we did it. We put it on YouTube. That is how fast he was willing to make known to his people what had happened at that retreat. So we went back. I went with Hassan to his group. They met in this certain location, and it's a sacred spot where they meet. And he said, this place from now on will become the first place of prayer in our community, because we are not fighting anymore, because Al-Masih, that's his way of saying the Messiah, Al-Masih met me in Texas and told me the Christians are not our enemy and we're not going to fight anymore, right? And then his men screamed at him like, what? Who's deceived you? And they're all looking at me. I'm like, Jesus was in the bunkhouse. So it was so powerful. Hassan today is a PhD, and he leads a Freedom Institute. He got a PhD after this, and he leads a Freedom Institute in the Middle East. I mean, you can go read his stuff. He's a big peace activist. The next year, they came, all of them wanted to go back to the retreat again. They brought more people, and they brought their wives. We ended up having to do a women's retreat. And that's what can happen when you dream with God.